Good morning and thank you for joining this special event webinar on Microsoft Teams for Education. In this presentation, I aim to create more clarity on why schools should be taking advantage of the vast features that Microsoft Teams for Education has to offer. Before we get into the presentation, let's talk about who we are. Who are ADM Computing? We're an IT services and support company. We're based in Kent, covering London, South East and further. We were established in 1984, which makes about 36 years old now. We have 70 staff, 3/4 of whom are technical service delivery teams. We're a Microsoft Gold partner as well, and our competencies not only involve exams, but actually deploying the technologies. So we're really living and breathing this stuff. We're also a highly rated partner with many other industry leading vendors, and we are ISO 9001, 14001, 27001 and Cyber Essentials Plus accredited. So I also want to show you why we're qualified to talk about support organizations within Microsoft products as well. So usually we hold an event like this at one of the Microsoft head offices in London. Of course, we've had to change this due to the current pandemic, even though unfortunately we're not able to meet all of you face to face at the moment. We can still convey a great deal of information using this webinar format by taking your questions. If you do have any questions, please do pop them in the Q&A box, and I'll either send an email follow-up to all of you with the answers, or I'll pop by to Rob, who's on standby at the moment, who's one of our technical guys, and I'll ask him if there are any questions that are popping up that he can answer. So that's who we are. Now I'll run through the plan for this presentation. So to start off, I'll be running through what Microsoft Teams for Education actually is. This so that people who have never heard of the application can get an idea of whether it may or be a benefit to them or not. I'll also be providing a hands-on live demonstration to give you a high-level functional overview. For organizations that are already using the standard Microsoft Teams application, I'll run through a comparison of the two. I also want to explain how Microsoft Teams for Education isn't just a temporary solution. It's a long-term alteration to how your school's already running. I'll then go through some of our other upcoming events and then wrap up with some relevant contacts you can get in touch with us for more information on that. We do also have a word from our education specialist, Patrick Led, who will be joined by a special guest as well from one of our client schools. So let's dive right into it. What is Microsoft Teams for Education? Microsoft Teams at its core is a powerful messaging, conferencing and collaboration tool. With the education version of Microsoft Teams, what you're additionally getting is the assignments delegation, quizzes for students, grading for teachers, and a live collaborative platform for students and teachers to use in partnership. To give you an idea of what Teams for Education is all about, I'd like to jump into a live demo. So this is Microsoft Teams for Education. This is the web platform version at the moment, and it is just a demo account. And right now I'm logged in as a teacher on this account or a member of staff. So as you can see, we have different teams here for different purposes. What I'm going to do is we've got the physical science team, obviously, we've got health research, we've got algebra, we've got the staff sections in there. What I'm going to do on this particular part is join or create a team. And you can see here that you can join a team with a code if someone sent you one of those, but you can also create a team for your organization. So if I click on create team, we have 4 different options here. We have class, professional learning community, staff, and other. So I'm sure you can already see the value in each of these for your school. For example, you can have class for students and teachers and staff for administration and office-based people. And you also have the other for, as it says here, clubs, study groups, after school activities, breaks. There's loads and loads of different, uses for the teams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a team now. I'm going to go into the class team and call it English. And what I'm going to do is just put a basic description in, saying this is for students to collaborate with teachers in English lessons. I'm going to go ahead and click next, and that will create the team. Let's add in some students. So I want to add in Alex Wilbur, and let's also add in Ashley Kozak. We just click add, and they're in that team. Let's add a teacher into here as well. I said Arden, and there's our teacher. Now we can add multiple students and teachers to each team. There's no usage limit. All I'm going to do now I've added these people in is I'm just going to click close, and it will open the team right up. So this is our English team. So you can see where you can upload class materials here. You can find help and training in this section, and you can do your instant messaging here. This is your main team, and this is the general section where you have your class notebook. And in the class notebook is it's being currently set up. As you can see, if I click into it, it will say it's currently being set up. So it's still setting up your class, but in that, what will happen once it's done is it's fully automated. So it's a very powerful collaboration tool for teachers and students, and each student has their own section that other students can't edit in that notebook. It's all run through OneNote, and the collaboration space allows all members of the notebook to edit the resources within that section. Not just that, there is also a read-only section for teachers' resources to be placed in as well. So there's loads and loads of bits and pieces in the class notebook. So I want to run through what a team can look like when it's in full force. So for this demonstration, I'll jump into the physical science team. So if we go back to all teams, and I'm going to jump into the physical science team here, and we can see I'm in the general section here. Now I want to look at this from both a teacher and a student point of view. So as I said, we'll start off with the teacher's perspective, and from our point of view, on the left, we can see a couple of different channels by hovering over the Teams tab. So we have General, Project Team 1. So you can see this looks like the general messaging board where everyone's posting. And we also have our files shared in here. So this is the general messaging tab. We've got Project Team 2, Subjects, and Units. So you can have as many channels as you'd like all down the side here. We're going to stick around in the General tab right now. So this is all from the teacher's point of view. And as I don't have too much time, I want to cover all the key information here as we explore it together. So the Assignments tab is something that you're only going to get with Teams for Education. So let's jump into that. We can see drafts and tasks that have been assigned. If we click into one, we can see all the students in the team that have handed, or not handed in this case, their assignments in. And if we actually click into one of the students here, we're able to see their status, whether it's been handed in or not. We can enter our feedback in this box here, and we can grade it in the points box. Now, in terms of marking, you can actually set grading rubrics for the marking criteria across all students for staff to use when marking and grading. If we go back into this team and we click on grades, we can see all the history of grading and a nice table who's handed in their assignments and who hasn't. And we can also export this to Excel as well for easy access. Now, there are so many more exciting features in Teams for Education, but sadly I can't cover them all. So before I get back to the presentation, I will briefly show you the student view in Teams for Education. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sign out here and jump in as another user. Bear with me. Almost there. Lovely. So I'll reshare the screen in just a moment. Okay, so I've just signed in as a student here into the Microsoft Teams for Education, and let's take a look at what they see. Bear with me. Okie doke. So let's use the web app again. Apologies for the delays there. So this is the student views homepage. So let's jump back into physical science here and let's take a look at the differences. So we have our assignments as before, but if we take a look in the assignments tab, we can only see what we've been assigned and what we've handed in. And again, in the grading section, we can only see our history of work. So you can see that I've handed this one in 14 days late, this one's been viewed, this one's been returned to us, and you can see our grading here as well. If we click into Project Team 1 on the right, we can only see what's intended for us to see. And this is why Teams for Education is such a beneficial tool. Now, as I said, there's so much more to talk about in terms of Teams for Education. And what we can do is take you through a personalized, customized demonstration of it to show you how you could use it in your organization. Not just with our team's knowledge shares, but also just a general conversation on the phone for advice or support. So do get in touch with us. I'll share those contacts at the end. But this takes us nicely on to a brief introduction from our education specialist at ADM Computing, Patrick Led. So I'm going to pass on to Patrick to talk a little bit about himself and share one of our clients' stories as well.
Thank you, Isaac. Yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm a account manager, a senior account manager at ADM. I'm also one of the people that are responsible for looking after our education clients. It's been an interesting times for schools recently. Loads and loads of schools have been trying to scrabble around and work out how they can communicate with their staff, and Teams has actually been a really good platform for doing just that. But it's also been about how schools can actually maintain some sort of delivery of education to their pupils and maintain that in some form or other. Teams has proved a valuable asset, especially as something that's free of charge to most schools. And in essence, what we've been exploring with a lot of our clients is how they can take advantage of that in terms of using the assignments to actually create some sort of way of delivering lessons effectively through Teams, whether that be from a live perspective, whether it be delivering assemblies or talks, or whether it be from doing the assignments or quizzes and bits and pieces. There are so many things in there that we've not been able to cover in a short session. But it's easy for me to say this. We do have online as well Sebastian Rees, who's the head teacher at Northbourne Park School. They're a prep school. They're based over near Deal in Kent, and they Sebastian can give us just a few words about his experience and what he's had to go through, and how Teams has sort of basically helped him do exactly what we've just described there. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Sebastian.
Thank you, Patrick. Good morning, everybody. So as Patrick said, we're a prep school in East Kent. We're a small school, but one of the problems that we had to overcome was that we have boarders and day children. So we were having to look at providing something across 5 countries. We had to make a choice at the end of the spring term before the Easter holiday as to which platform to use. And because we're a Microsoft school, we decided to go with Teams. We also decided that we were going to deliver to classes from reception class all the way up to year 8. So the model that we adopted was that I initially had conversations with Patrick at ADM, and then that was followed by selecting sort of champions among the staff for initial meetings on how we could get teams up and running for us, because we were approaching this from a sort of standing still at the beginning of the Easter holidays. We then expanded that across all the staff, and over the course of the Easter holidays, so within 3 weeks, we had trained ourselves up and we were ready to deliver teaching online through Teams at the start of this term. And that's exactly what we've done. So all children from reception up to year 8 have received live online lessons, seeing their teachers on the screen every morning, Monday to Friday, for 3 hours. It seems a lot, and we've built into that non-screen time as well in order to think about the children's welfare, and it's worked. We have also adopted the live broadcast option as well, because that really helped us with doing assemblies in the mornings live to the whole school around the world, but also afternoon sports sessions that the children could watch. A very nice thing that is coupled together with Teams is Microsoft Stream, where you can build up a library of videos. And so what we did was we created videos that the children could watch, their creative videos, things for them to do at home, baking, creative arts, things like that, that they can then access, and only us in our organisation can access these videos, and they can watch those and do those afternoon activities. We have found Teams to be very flexible for us, so that, for example, for the older children, for the year 7s and year 8s who are Key Stage 3, they've really benefited from that assignments aspect of Teams, which was shown to us earlier in this presentation. But then moving on down through the younger classes, obviously assignments for, say, a child in reception, one step too far. So what we have found worked really well was for the teacher to share their screen, and then they can work through the morning, sharing with the children what they've prepared on their computer at home, and that has also worked very, very well for the younger children. The result of this, so since the Easter holiday, we have managed to move all of the children's learning forward, which was my primary objective, and we've succeeded with that. And we couldn't have done that without getting to grips with Teams. So really pleased with that. And now moving forward, I think Teams will still play a part in our learning and teaching, whatever the outcome of the next academic year, what we'll be allowed to do and not do. But I've already got teachers saying to me that they're going to continue using Teams for setting homework, setting assignments, keeping in contact with children who may not still be in the school. So it's been a challenging journey, but it's well worth it. We could not have moved the children's learning forward without this. So there we go. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Seb. That's really helpful. That's a really good insight. Basically, Microsoft were already evolving an education strategy around Teams. It had to get accelerated very quickly, and essentially a lot of people have jumped onto Teams and have been trying it out. Where we have been able to help them is not really sort of do it for them, but really act as a helping hand. So doing sessions where we are doing a Teams knowledge share, helping with settings, making sure that everything is set up in such a way that pupils can't do anything inappropriate, and so on and so forth. But we've also, those sessions have thrown up interesting avenues as to how the tool can be used in an educational environment, and not only on the teaching side, but across the whole environment. And I think that there will be a lot more discussions around that with my school's clients. So I think Isaac's going to cover a bit more around what's coming, because as I say, it is an evolving product. So from that perspective, please do get in touch if you want to talk more, but I'm going to hand you back to Isaac.
Thanks very much, Patrick, for that, and thank you both, especially Seb, for jumping in at such short notice this morning. We really appreciate it, and it's I'm really glad that we can give you all sort of a real life example of how Teams for Education has really benefited a school there as well. So before I do jump into the next slide, I do want to quickly go to my colleague in the technical department, Rob, and just check that we haven't had any questions come through. Rob?
Nothing so far, so
Nothing so far.
just stay around waiting.
Fantastic. Rob's always on hand to answer any questions. If you do have any, just pop them in the Q&A box. Yeah, fantastic. So I'll jump on to the next part of this. So I'd like to run through a quick comparison between the standard version of Teams and Teams for Education, and then I'll jump into what Patrick was talking about some of the upcoming features as well. So with the standard version of Teams, when you build a team, you have your one standard template that you name and add members into. As we've seen with Teams for Education, it has the 4 different templates designed specifically for schools. What you're also getting with Teams for Education is 2 different security settings for teachers and students, so you can customize this in accordance with the strictness of the organization. OneNote automation when you start a team will also be of great use to students and teachers alike. The obvious benefit to using Teams for Education over the standard version of Teams is that it's not just a messaging tool, and that you'll be able to use it across the board for grading and assignments. On that note, you've probably already worked out that Microsoft Teams for Education is not just for the pandemic. It's a powerful school-wide collaboration tool with tons of features designed specifically with the education sector in mind. Do have a think about the features that I haven't talked about, like how this could be used in a classroom when students return. Forget all those back and forth emails and post-it notes plastered across the desk. Using Teams will give you messaging, calling, and video conferencing tools built in and ready to use across the school. In a moment, I'll run through how you can implement Teams into your organisation. If you're already running Teams for Education in your school, I really do hope this presentation, along with the demonstration, has given you a few ideas and expanded your knowledge a little bit on this vast platform. And if you do want to learn a little bit more about Teams, we have Teams knowledge shares available. All you have to do is just give us a ring. Before I talk about all of that, I want to briefly run through a couple of upcoming features of Microsoft Teams for Education. So you'll soon be able to see up to 49 attendees on your screen at once. As you can see on the right, Teams is really shaping up to the competitors now. Competitors like Zoom, you're really getting a great collaborative environment for video conferencing. You'll also have virtual breakout rooms where students can talk one-on-one or in a small group with teachers outside of the main classroom conference. Some of you also may know that you can set backgrounds on video chats, and soon you'll be able to upload your own images to use as backgrounds to put yourself in a professional setting, always ready for a call. Educators will also be soon the only ones who can start meetings, and there will also be a new meeting attendee limit of up to 300 people. That is a lot. So that is Microsoft Teams for Education in short. I hope you've learned something this morning. And before I wrap up and talk about some relevant contacts and also some exclusive free training coming very soon, I want to run through a couple of upcoming events at ADM. So for organisations who want to look at the core Microsoft Teams, so not for education, we'll be providing a high-level functional overview of Microsoft Teams and its counterpart, the Teams Admin Centre. Join us on the 25th of June, where we'll be talking Microsoft Secure Score and how it can help your organisation become even more compliant. On the 26th of June, we have a very special event. We'll be joined by Amanda Oakhill, who's the Senior Associate of Furley Page Solicitors, and we'll be looking at how employers can ensure a smooth transition back to the workplace after a period of almost 3 months in lockdown. On the 7th of July, we'll be providing an overview of the Microsoft 365 platform as a whole and highlighting some of the benefits of the features that are often overlooked. And on the 14th of July, we'll be taking a deep dive into the security features present in Microsoft 365 and how they can be used to protect your organisation data. Finally, we do also have some exclusive free training sessions with one of our partners, Alex Waterton from FKeys. He'll be running through full interactive training of Microsoft Excel, Teams, Outlook, OneNote, and Word. Kicking off tomorrow between 11 and 12 with part 1 of Microsoft Excel, which will be the same time every day till Friday the 26th of June this week. If you'd like to book on for these, for any of the free training sessions, please do get in touch with us. So that brings us to the end of this Microsoft Teams for Education webinar. I do hope you've all enjoyed it or learned something new this morning. A big thank you to Patrick, our education advisor, Rob Banks for standing by for technical questions, and finally to Seb from Northbourne Park School for jumping on the webinar at such short notice this morning with his excellent feedback. If you would like to book on for any of the events I mentioned, please give me a ring on my direct dial number on screen or drop me an email. Feel free to also drop me an email about any feedback you have and what you'd like to see next. And if you would like any advice, training, support, or would like to get Microsoft Teams for Education in your school, please don't hesitate to get in touch with one of our brilliant account managers who will take you through the necessary information and criteria. You can reach them both on the number on email or email on screen. One last thing to note is that there will be a recording of this event posted in the very near future on our ADM YouTube channel, which will be sent to you along with the email links in a follow-up email following this event. So once again, thank you to everyone who tuned in today, wherever you're watching from, and I'm sure I'll see you all again soon. I will leave the contact information up on screen if anyone needs to take any notes of that, and thank you. Just briefly, if we do have a question, Rob Banks, if you've got any questions.
There is one from Haley about the apparent message being displayed about the create assignment function being retired by the 30th of June. This isn't something that we've been made aware of or heard of from Microsoft, so I would be interested to get more details about what you're seeing there, Haley. So would you mind sending an email to one of those contacts on the screen now?
Thanks very much for that, Haley. Yeah, if you just send an email to myself, that's isaac@adm-computing.co.uk. I'll get that answered for you and followed up. Any other questions, Rob?
No, that is all that's come through today.
Fantastic. In that case, thank you once again, everyone. I'll leave this contact information up on screen for the next couple of minutes. Thank you.